Demure Cribs Limited, where we take your dream of owning a land, shatter it, and in return, you reward us by paying the full purchase price of a non-existent land with a ready title deed. Our 50 by 100 plots are always 500 meters away from the tarmac. Water, electricity, and neighbors are a must. We have flexible payment plans. Book a site visit with us today, which we shall not guarantee even after you pay all the money that we want you to pay us. Demure Cribs Limited, where you enrich us. Hi, my lovely people. Welcome to this channel. My name is Mary Mwaura. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. In this channel, we discuss all matters law without any discrimination. So if these are matters that interest you, please stay tuned. The great Greek tragedian Euripides once said, "There is no greater grief than the loss of one's native land." I believe this statement because Kenya has had a long, interminable history of land conflict. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a guideline which to follow before you even think of purchasing a property here in Kenya. So this is what we lawyers call the due diligence, and it is what that happens right before we get into the purchase of the property. So the first thing you need to do is to meet the seller in person. Now, I know in digital era you might say, oh, WhatsApp video call, FaceTime, but please, just make it a point to meet that seller in person, and to ascertain that this is the person who is selling to you. At times the seller might be a company, so visit their offices. Make sure they are registered, they have an office. If the seller are administrators of an estate of a dead person, make sure you have a chat with even the beneficiaries, just to ascertain whether these two people are the persons who are rightfully supposed to sell this property. And mostly, always make sure that the name appearing on the title is the same name that you meet in person. So you shall request this person to give you an ID and his PIN, and a copy of the title. Now the ID and his PIN will verify this person, and now they will still help you when later on you want to carry out the due process of the land. Now step 2 is the physical visit to the land. Now 2 tips when you're doing this. This first visit, make sure the seller accompanies you. The importance of this seller accompanying you is because if he's not the real owner of the land, the neighbors will raise alarm to the owner of the land, and chances are it will get back to you. Now the second tip, always carry a surveyor, and request this surveyor to get a land survey map from the lands registry. The importance of this land survey map, it will ascertain the beacons of this piece of land that you're being sold to. Because at times, you see, it's very hard for the land survey map to be forged, but a title can be forged. Now, the good thing about the land survey map is that it will show that this property, this is the size of the property, this is how it is like, these are the beacons. So when the surveyor has that map, they will be able to guide you whether that which is being sold to you, is it what that is written on paper, So it is very important for you to carry a surveyor. Now the purpose of the physical visit most of the times is just to check out, how is this land? Look at the soil. Is it a Noah's Ark situation in case it rains? It's very important for you to find out how this land is like. Even look at the neighbors. What are the neighbors doing? Is it a place where you can stay? The security, sometimes you're told 500 meters from the tarmac, but when you get to that tarmac, it's 5,000 meters. Anyway, just make sure you go, just to confirm such kind of things. So after the first visit, the last thing you should tell that seller is that, I want to come back with my friend, or with my wife, or with my husband, just to ascertain whether indeed we like this place, And the importance of a second visit is that at this time now, we are starting to investigate. We are starting now the due diligence on a serious note. So the when you get to the land again, make it a point to ask neighbors about the land. You know the way your neighbors know you more than you know yourself. I'm sure those neighbors know something about that land. Ask, is there any land conflict over this property? They'll tell you, yeah, this land, this seller has been selling to 20 people, 200 people on this land with fake ready titles. And now this second visit, please don't forget to carry a valuer. Now, the importance of a valuer is they will look at this land and they'll do a valuation with comparables with the neighboring lands, and they will establish this price you're being sold this land at. Is it value for money? Because sometimes you find a property that whose market value is 500,000 is being sold at 1.3 mostly because of situation of brokers who want to make money out of you, or a seller who wants to take advantage of you. And now when you purchase this property, by the time you're disposing this property, let's say next year, it is impossible for you you will incur loss, because you can't sell a property that is worth 600,000 at 1.5. No, you can't sell it like that. So that is the importance of having a valuer with you and a drunk neighbor, because they will tell you how the situation qua ground is. Now, the other thing that you should put in mind is the proposed use of the land. So there is this thing that is called zoning that most people don't really know about, but zoning is how a town is basically planned. So it can be like, this area is reserved for residential areas. Now this area is just for industries, it's an industrial area. Now this area is for like agricultural area. Now, yes, so it's important for you to know the proposed use of the land. So before you buy a land, just know, what do I want to do on this land? Because it would be very unfortunate for you to buy a property along Mombasa Road between two go downs, and you want to put to build your mansion there. It's very unfortunate, because when you start developing, approvals will be needed, and if whatever you're doing on that land is not what has been said should be done on that land, then you have incurred a loss from the word go. So like, if you want a ranch, you can't buy a ranch at Mombasa Road. It is impossible. It is next to impossible. Along Mombasa Road, next to Olesereni, that is where you want to put your ranch. Now that I mentioned that, also make sure that this land or properties that are near an airport, forest, please walk into those authorities. Walk to Civil Aviation Authority. Walk KWS. Just go to their offices. Ask them, is this your land, or does this land belong to somebody else? Because sometimes it's their land with a ready title, ready to scam you, like Demure Creeds Limited. Also, make sure that you check the authenticity of the documents you have been given. Like, for instance, in a case where the seller is a company, just go to eCitizen and the BRS and obtain a search for the company, just to ensure that you know who are these directors who are behind this company, just in case the company is a sham. Sometimes people just add limited and you're convinced it's a company, but when you go to land to companies registry, there's nothing like that. So also, if the sellers are administrators, please make sure that you go to court and verify those letters of administration. Make sure that they have emanated from that court, because they might have emanated from River Road, unknown to you. So yes, check the authenticity. Also, check the title, because also the title might have emanated from River Road. Please check it. Check how the title looks like. The title deeds normally have watermarks, and there's a way experts can be able to tell you whether it is a genuine title or it is a fake title. Because sometimes, if I'm selling to 200 people, where do you expect me to get 200 original titles? So once the process of due diligence has been completed, then you move to the next step, which is the investigation of the title. So investigation of the title happens when you walk into a lands registry and request for a search. So you will hand in the copy of the title that you were given and a copy of the ID and the PIN of the seller. So the results that come out will show you whether this seller is indeed the seller as they are purporting to, and it will show you the ownership details. It will also show you the property details, which is like the size of the land. And the other thing it will show you is another part known as an encumbrance. So under the encumbrance, you can find something called a charge, which you will find in case there is a loan that has been secured with this land. The other thing you can find is a caution in case there is a person who has a beneficial interest over the land and they have put something to prevent it to be sold. That is called a caution. There's also a restriction which is put in by the registrar. In cases where the registrar is noticing there is fraud, a registrar can put in a restriction. So that's also the land cannot be transferred, in which case you shall be notified that there is a restriction because of this and this. Now, the other thing is known as an inhibition, which is where a court order is obtained and it is registered against the land and it restricts any dealing. Even with that in place, you will not be able to do any transactions on that land. So for that search to be healthy, it has to show that the encumbrances are nil and it has to ascertain the details of the owner. So yes, so those are the things that you're going to establish once you investigate the title. So the other thing you should check out for is the land rates and the land rents. Now the land rates is a tax imposed by the county government on both freehold land and leasehold lands. So the county government will require you every year to pay a certain amount of tax. Now, some county governments have imposed all their properties, while others have not. Like Kiambu, land rates are payable, but there are other places that are in the interior where land rates are not payable. Now, there's also the issue of land rent. Now, land rent is payable to the national government and it applies mostly to leaseholds. So if check your leasehold title, if it's written peppercorn, then it means you will not pay any kind of land rent. Now, what is the importance of this land rent and rates? The importance is that if someone fails to pay the annual rents, penalties accrue, and sometimes these penalties accrue up to an extent where the amount owed to the government is equal to the purchase price of the land, in which case now you'll just buy the land and hand it over to the government, Yes. And now the other thing that you should check out for, especially with the leasehold title, is that how many years until expiry do you have? Because sometimes if a lease is 5 years to expiry, then you should know that that lease is, it's not good for you to buy that property, because ideally 5 years to the expiry of a lease is when the process of extension of a lease should take place. So once you have made sure that the road has been smooth all through, in that the seller is genuine, the property is genuine, and there are no land rents or rates that are pending, there are no loans, there are no cautions, restrictions, and inhibitions, now you proceed to a lawyer's office to draft a sale agreement. Now that, my friends, is what we call due diligence, that is done even before you get to the drafting of the sale agreement. I hope you really learned and enjoyed this video. We have come to the end of it, and until next time, please stay tuned.